Still kind of that slightly outside.
Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to Art Theoriez. And this week we are in the lovely Coventry. That's Coventry Cathedral, which I think was bombed. Ooh, slippy. It's really cold. And basically we are here because it's the Turner Prize is here this year. So that's really cool and exciting. So I don't really know, I've gone off script. Coventry is really cool. Parsley is from Coventry, and so is Zara Sultana, and it's also making waves because it's got the Turner Prize at the Herbert Gallery. It's really cold. I'm here with my friends, and there they are. We're going to go and see some art.
Okay, so as it turns out, I'm actually way too shy to vlog with a selfie stick inside of a gallery. So you're going to hear from me from here from now on. Hope that's okay. So basically the first thing we noticed about the Herbert Gallery when we came in is how nice the roof is. Had to take some nice pictures of the roof. And yeah, so basically this year's Turner Prize is interesting and different because it's nominated 5 groups, all of which are collectives. There's no individual artists being represented, and each collective in some way does something that contributes to wider society in a kind of community-based way. The first group you see when you enter is called Gentle Radical. They're a Welsh-based group. I actually really liked their video. Didn't fully understand it, but...
You talk about care. That we're not set up to do this work of care in ways that function, or even come remotely close. And where are the rituals for this kind of thing? You describe putting your mum in...
Yes, it's like a series of monologues, I guess, talking about everything from death to God to politics to like all this different stuff. It was very moving and it was quite long. I only watched about 25 minutes of it, but I really enjoyed it. So after seeing Gentle Radical, you move into the next space, and that is dedicated to the Northern Irish artists and activists collective called Array Collective. And you walk through this kind of circular flagpole thing, which is like purple. You can see it in the video now. And you move into this like corner space, which is kind of closed off. And as you walk into it, you realize it's kind of like a remake of a Northern Irish LGBT pub. And there's a video playing on the wall, and there's loads of different stuff, like objects everywhere. And basically the concept here is that every object in this space, or most of the objects, are artifacts that they've used in their protests over the years, because they're notorious for very creative, very imaginary protests to do with LGBT rights and reproduction rights in Northern Ireland. So you can see the roof there is made of protest banners and stuff like this. This actually won. I did enjoy it. I think I preferred the first video more, but fair enough. I respect the fact that they won. After leaving Array Collective's beautiful pub, you go into the next space, which is for Black Obsidian sound system. And this is a London-based black and brown, non-binary, queer collective who do sound systems, do community events, do art exhibitions, and on an aesthetic level, I really liked this. It was really slick. I really like the big banners. I really like the neon. I really like the objects. And you kind of walk through a corridor and you enter into this really cool installation with videos and a heavy bass and neon. It's cool. It's really cool. I liked it. So next up you have Project Artworks, and these guys facilitate and enable neurodiverse people to do art projects. They hold workshops and they hold exhibitions, and it was actually a really lovely display. It kind of felt like an archive. I think it said that they had like 4,000 artworks there or in total, and they're all made by people who are neurodivergent and need some kind of support or enabling in order to make these works, but the works are genuinely fantastic. And in the center of it they have a video which is really lovely and really wholesome about, I guess it's like a trip they did to Scotland where they went and lived in a cabin in nature, and they just go for these really long walks and make art and have lovely conversations, and it's very wholesome and it's very beautiful. Like, we really liked this work. I really enjoyed watching it. And lastly, you have cooking sections with a really impressive installation involving projectors shooting down at the floor. They're interested in salmon fishing, and they've been doing site-specific work on the Isle of Skye for like 5 or 6 years now, and they're really interested in engaging with the way that we eat and consume and produce food and sustainability. And this work was all about the damage that intensive salmon farming has done to the Isle of Skye and the water around there. I'm not gonna lie, at this point we were kind of fading out. Like, there's a lot of artworks, a lot of social messages, and I seem to be more interested in taking cool pictures with the projectors rather than engaging with the work. I know that's not fair, it's probably just because it was the last one, but it was just a great selfie opportunity. Yeah, basically I think it was a really good work. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect it or anything, but took some cool pictures there as well. Yeah, so I didn't actually know any of these collectives before I went to the exhibition, and I think that's a really cool thing because it means I get to learn about more art collectives and see what they're doing, and that's great. And I hope more people become more aware of these people and what they're up to, because they're up to cool stuff and we should know about it. Yeah, and I think it's a pretty radical shift for the Turner Prize, away from, like, you know, the Damien Hirsts, the Grayson Perrys, the Anish Kapoors, like, you know, the individual artist with an object-based practice who makes loads of money, like, away from that towards collectives who are really interested in community and social engagement and stuff like that. That's pretty rad. I do like that. My favourite thing was Gentle Radical, the Welsh people, and their video. Just something very moving about it, especially listening to those monologues. It was pretty deep. Like, I don't think I explained it very well, but I just really liked it. So if you can, check their work out. And I also really liked Black Obsidian's installation. That was super cool. Yeah, and I think this is like kind of a long-term shift, because even a few years ago, Assemble won the Turner Prize, and they're also a collective who work on the border of art and architecture, and they're super community-oriented. So the Turner is picking up on a shift, which I think is happening within the British art scene, away from individualism, maybe? I'm not really sure. I think it's probably a reaction against the kind of YBA hangover which just sort of haunted my generation throughout their art school years, and I personally welcome it. I think it's interesting. I do think you get a bit of a kind of collision between criteria when you do this kind of work. Like, what are you looking for? Artistic mastery, or sort of the best social engagement and like the most positive outcomes for communities? It's not necessarily a big problem, it's just something which has to be navigated, and in fairness, I think that every single artist collective in the show did a very good job at balancing those two criterias. Yeah, so I think it's really cool, and what I'm wondering is what the Turner Prize is going to do from here. Are they going to go back to celebrating like mostly kind of men with object-based practices, which are super sort of commercial, or are they going to keep praising community people? Bit of both, who knows? Hopefully a painter doesn't win it though.